Here's a part of my bench that was missing in the first video. The front board wasn't as deep as the board on the right hand side, so I decided to build a ledge for stowing items. While I was working on it, I thought that the ledge would be the perfect place for my motor tool scalo, and so I attached it close to the right edge. The small opening is used for the tool's cable. I can pull it out when I need it and push it back when I don't. This will keep it out of the way. The ledge is also used for stowing my pigments. As you know, I don't use any other pigments than those I made from ground pastel chalks. I had the small nightstand with 2 drawers left and didn't know what to do with it. Now it serves as part of the support of my bench's left hand side. The drawers are used for stowing a couple of things I had no space for up to now. Then I put my paints, washes and so on where they belong. These things are the most dangerous stuff I've got in my cave, all kinds of thinners. This lamp was used in our living room when we moved in. My girlfriend's mother gave us a nicer one, so I used this in my hobby room. I glued aluminum foil into the reflector on the inside, and now the lamp shines brighter than before. I don't need another LED light, and once more I was able to save some money. Power supply is coming from this power strip. I attached 3 pieces of plastic out profile to keep it in place. I didn't want to use strong double-sided tape. This way it can be moved and I can clean the bench when necessary. Since I just showed you the last extension of my bench, we can take a look at the shelf above now. This isn't the final word on the things I want to put there. I didn't have any long braces left, so I had to use shorter ones. I wasn't sure if they would be strong enough to keep the shelf in position, but I had this beechwood rod. I drilled 10mm deep into the bench and did the same with the shelf's underside. Now the rod serves as support, and since I don't want to put heavy things on the shelves, I guess it'll do. The shelf is also used for hanging tools I use frequently. I could have used a flour sifter when I separated the different contents of the soil I collected here, but I just found it a couple of days ago. Here's the shelf above my main working space, so it carries items I need all the time. For example, different glues or the things in the ice cream container. I had this small magnetic strip left and I thought it might be perfect for my tweezers. You'd think they can't be any good because I bought a set of 6 for only €2.40, but they're really nice. They are much better than the ones I used up to now, and those were more expensive. A small but useful gimmick. If you ever try to stow blister packages like this, you'll know why I added this small piece of HDF board. Here I did it again, this time for CA glue packages. As you see, I rearranged a couple of things while I was working on this video. I built a small stand for my wire spools. It's just a piece of wood with a skewer. I attached a piece of coarse sanding paper to the bottom to prevent it from sliding. The shelf above is used for tools I don't use day in and day out, but are important enough to be kept within reach. Here's my soldering station and all the necessary accessories. I can't wait to work on my first simple bits. It was my girlfriend's birthday present and I'm so glad to have it, and her. I put my jigsaw's accessories next to it. A hand drill, the clamp and the spare saw blades. On the left hand side I keep my third hand and a hairdryer. The dryer will be used for drying paints now and then. Now for the shelves above the largest area of my bench. Here are all the different things I use as foliage or vegetation on my dios. The space is also used for stowing the colander and a couple of small stainless steel bowls. I hope there'll never be a leakage. Here I have all kinds of tapes I need for different purposes. 2 pairs of nylon stockings. I can't remember whose idea it was, Bees Beasley's or Simon Kemp's. To play it safe I put both links in the description. And here are a couple of picture frames that'll serve as dio bases, in case I build a dio of a matching size. You remember the rack for the jars I used for cleaning my brushes? There was one important feature missing. This was the perfect time to add it. All that was necessary to build it were 3 short pieces of wooden beams, 6 cloth pegs and a couple of screws. Now I can let my dirty brushes hover in the cleaning agents. That'll make for better results than before, because this way the cleaners have more time to dissolve the paint. Cleaning brushes in a hurry is never a good idea, and letting them stand on their bristles for a longer time is an even worse idea. This way the bristles won't get bent and they'll last much longer than usual. I'll build another rack for the jars I use for keeping my brushes. The glass on the right hand side will be used for brushes that are wet after cleaning. That'll make sure that I won't use wet brushes accidentally when I'm working with enamels or oils. This won't be the final space for the racks because they shouldn't stand next to the power strip. On with the opposite wall. I stacked 2 shelves to save space. The bottom one was constructed by our landlord and it was wonky, really wonky. After adding the board and the upper shelf it was more stable, but I also bolted it to the cabinet that's standing next to it. The upper shelf is used for my soil, sand and pebble containers. The bottom of this strange piece of furniture is home of a part of my styrofoam supplies. There's also a cardboard box with resin wall profiles. I got them while I was working with an archaeological museum in 2008. On the boards of the cabinet I store started projects, spare tools and dias supplies. Behind the doors you'll find all my not modeling related tools. 2 huge pieces of styrodur. More styrofoam and a couple of boards and aluminum profiles. And here's the rest of the styrofoam I gathered over the last decade. I didn't want to waste a board to keep it in place. I just used thick gardening wire and a couple of nails to close this side of the table. Our landlord used this table for his vise, and when he left he also left 2 8mm holes in the tabletop. I used wooden dowels and PVA glue to close them. And here's where a razor saw comes in handy, because you can cut off the dowels flush with the tabletop. Only little sanding was necessary to finish the job. And here's the result, my cave office. It will be used for my notebook, storing my brushes while I'm doing dusty things on the bench, and for making notes on things I want to do on my projects. The chair I used before I got the new used one is perfect for this space. These may be first world problems, but for me solving them was important enough. My bench looks very chaotic when I'm working on my projects. I needed some solution that'll help me keeping things in a more organized fashion. I used a thick piece of styrodur to give my different knives a new home. It was attached to the bench with double-sided tape. Then I found this small piece of wood and 2 short pieces of soft steel wire. I bent the wire into shape and one end each into loops. The wire was then attached to the wood with short screws and washers. Oh, yes, of course, I'm sorry. It's a stand for my sprue cutters. I thought I would have to bolt it onto the bench, but I must have found the sweet spot incidentally. It's in perfect balance. Now I can put it where I need it while I'm working. These syringes with blunt needles will be used for mixing paints in thinner and precise portions. I think this is a neat solution for stowing them. I just bent 3 pieces of steel wire into shape and attached them to the shelves on the side. I hope this will make looking for them unnecessary. I attached 2 cardboard tubes to this cabinet. They'll be used for stowing stuff that's too long to be put anywhere else. This is a temporary solution, so to speak a compromise solution. I'll buy plastic water pipes to replace them. I don't need to tell you that this can be a dusty hobby, and it's a good idea to get rid of the dust now and then. I'm too lazy to get up and use heavy machinery to clean my bench ever so often. I'll use this small plastic bucket and the white brush to sweep the bench when necessary. The bucket is also small enough to search it for parts that may have miraculously disappeared. And here you see my dog's basket. And the treats I have in stock for her. Of course I had to stow my kids too, but before I show you what I did, let's take the Revell Katyusha was the second kit I bought after one of my many returns into the hobby, this time in 2007. The box art shows Berlin in ruins, and there are also decals for a vehicle that was used in Berlin in May 1945. I didn't know that the truck didn't exist before the early 1950s when I bought it, but I did when I built the dio. On the one hand, I was angry about the misleading mistake Revell made with illustration and decals. On the other hand, I didn't care much for historical correctness. At the time the group build started, I couldn't afford to buy the matching Hobby Bus Studebaker Katusha anyway. The ICM figures I used were really nice and I can recommend them. What can be said about the SDK of that 232 by Italeri that hasn't been said before? The answer is that actually everything is said about it. It's just a sad case. One day I'll be brave enough to tackle this piece of I can actually hear you say, why the hell did you buy this? Quite simple, the kit was in the hobby shop when I was there to buy some glue. It's the last kit I bought before my break between November 2009 and November 2015. And it wasn't the reason for taking the break. It's double value because I can build 2 dias with the contents of one kit I got for only €12. Here we have my favorite Italeri kit. Giving it away for a kit that's available everywhere may have been a mistake. With the next so-called limited edition I'll order 2 or 3 ambulances. The Dragon kit may be better, but I love Italeri kits and up to now I only built the Kangaroo. I had to have it. I also purchased 3 U-Tracks for it. And the Edward PE set too. That was before I realized how much I hate PE, but I'll fight my way through this set. Giving the M4 high-speed tractor away wasn't a mistake because it came into good hands and became a very nice model. I'll buy it again, but will order metal tracks along with it. The vinyl tracks are tricky and too short. This is a very nice kit and the winner, Scott of Scott Spain, did a tremendous job on it. I thought this was a different kit when I bought it, but I'm more than happy that it isn't. Beware of the figures if you should ever buy this kit. The pack isn't bad, but the figures are just lumps of styrene. I can't mention each kit because there are just so many. I never saw my stash like this before I put the kits on the shelves. In my old flat the stash was divided into 3 piles and different cabinets and there didn't appear to be so many. This was really shocking, although many of you may have more kits in stock. I did reviews on most of them and the rest will follow next year. One thing is absolutely clear, I'll have to work faster in order to finish them someday. Again, a great big thank you to all of you who sent me kits. My hobby room is ready to be used now and there'll be new episodes on my ongoing projects. Hope you enjoyed watching both vids and setting up my cave. Some pics of the hobby room.
That's all, folks.